Some women don't chase, and yet they're never forgotten. They linger in the recesses of a man's mind, like a dream that refuses to fade with the dawn. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment below. What shadows have you exposed in silence? In the dim-lit theater of the soul, where Jung's archetypes dance unseen, there emerges the figure of the archetypal woman, not a siren of seduction but a quiet oracle of the unconscious. She moves with the grace of one who has traversed her own inner labyrinths, her presence a mirror that reflects not just light, but the hidden distortions of the ego. The man, armored in his stoic facade, believes himself unyielding, a fortress built on the sands of repressed desires and unacknowledged wounds. Yet, beneath this veneer, his shadows stir, those disowned fragments of the psyche that Jung called the shadow self, projections of the anima that he casts upon her without knowing. She, embodying the feminine principle of receptivity and intuition, becomes the unwitting catalyst, drawing forth what he hides, the vulnerabilities masked as strength, the attachments born of trauma, the illusions of control that crumble under her gaze. As she navigates the currents of attraction, her emotional self-worth remains an anchor, unswayed by his projections, inviting him into the tension of true encounter. But the path is fraught. His unconscious behaviors, defensive retreats, possessive grasps, fleeting pursuits, reveal themselves in subtle tremors, like ripples on a still pond disturbed by an unseen stone. She senses them first, these echoes of his inner discord, where stoic resolve clashes with the raw pulse of trauma psychology, creating a resonance that amplifies the unspoken. In this dance, attachment dynamics unfold not as chains, but as threads woven from past hurts, pulling him toward her while he resists the pull toward individuation. The archetypal woman does not force the revelation. She simply exists in her wholeness, her detachment a silent provocation that stirs his shadows to life. As the veil thins, the first shadow emerges, the shadow of vulnerability, that tender underbelly the man buries beneath layers of egoic armor. Jung whispered of the anima, the feminine soul within him, projected outward onto the woman who dares to see beyond his mask. She, in her quiet observance, becomes the vessel for this projection, her empathy a lantern illuminating the fractures he conceals. Imagine a man in the midst of a heated exchange, his words sharp like thorns, defending a position not out of conviction but from the fear of being seen as weak, a stoic sentinel guarding the gates of his heart. Yet, in her presence, the tension builds, a slow-burning ember that ignites when she responds not with retaliation, but with a pause, a breath that invites reflection. Here, the emotional turning point arrives unbidden. He feels the pull of attachment, that anxious grip rooted in childhood traumas where vulnerability meant abandonment, and suddenly, his projection falters. You sense it too, don't you? The way his eyes avert, the subtle shift in posture as the shadow whispers its truth. She embodies feminine attraction not through pursuit, but through the mystery of her self-assured silence, her emotional self-worth a fortress he cannot breach with force. In this moment, trauma psychology resonates with Jung's shadow work. The man's repressed fears surface, clashing against her stoic-like detachment, creating a dissonance that demands resolution. He projects his unmet needs onto her, seeing in her the mother he lost or the lover who left, but she, aware of her own individuation process, does not absorb it. Instead, she mirrors it back, a poetic echo that forces him to confront the illusion. The desire intensifies, a silent storm brewing in the space between them, where his unconscious behavior, evasive texts, sudden withdrawals, betrays the internal shift. She walks the edge of this precipice, her presence provoking the question, what if vulnerability were not a wound but a gateway? The tension coils tighter, drawing him deeper into the unknown, where the anima beckons him toward wholeness. Deeper into the labyrinth, the second shadow unfurls, the shadow of control, where the ego reigns supreme, disguising domination as protection. Jung's teachings on projection reveal how the man casts his unintegrated animus onto the world, but in her, he finds a reflection that shatters the illusion. She, the archetypal woman, navigates attraction with a fluidity that eludes his grasp, her emotional self-worth rooted in the soil of self-awareness, unyielding to his attempts at orchestration. Picture a couple entwined in the rhythm of daily life, he orchestrating plans with meticulous precision, his stoic philosophy a shield against the chaos of emotion, yet beneath it lurks the trauma of past losses, where control was the only salve for uncertainty. The psychological tension mounts as she gently asserts her autonomy, a choice of path that diverges from his map, and in that divergence, the second emotional turning point crystallizes. His frustration rises like a tide, projecting blame onto her perceived unpredictability, while inwardly, attachment dynamics twist into anxious knots. You feel the mystery unfolding, the desire laced with fear, as his unconscious behaviors manifest in possessive inquiries, veiled demands that seek to bind what cannot be held. Blending stoic endurance with Jungian depth, she remains detached, her silence a provocation that exposes the shadow's futility. The internal shift echoes through him, a resonance of trauma psychology where old wounds reopen, reminding him that control is but a phantom, a defense against the anima's call to surrender. In symbolic imagery, it's like a river forcing its way through a dam. She becomes the current that erodes his barriers, inviting individuation not through confrontation, but through the poetic dance of letting go. The tension simmers, desire mingling with dread, as he grapples with the realization that true connection blooms in the soil of mutual freedom, not enforced order. She, in her empowerment, provokes without words, her presence a mirror that reflects the shadow back to its owner, urging the man toward the precipice of transformation. Now the third shadow awakens, the shadow of abandonment, that primal specter haunting the corridors of the psyche, where Jung's animus and anima entwine in a dance of projection and denial. The archetypal woman, embodying feminine empowerment, stands as a beacon of emotional self-worth, her detachment a silent testament to her own individuation. He, the man shrouded in stoic resolve, hides this shadow behind facades of independence. Yet trauma psychology unveils its roots in early ruptures, where loss etched patterns of avoidance into his soul. Envision a moment of intimacy's edge where vulnerability teeters. He pulls away just as closeness beckons, his unconscious behavior a retreat masked as self-sufficiency, projecting onto her the fear of being left first. The tension escalates, building to the third emotional turning point. Her calm acceptance of his distance provokes a storm within him, attachment dynamics shifting from pursuit to panic, as the shadow demands acknowledgement. You confront it in the silence between heartbeats, the desire that aches, the mystery of what lies unspoken as his projections falter under her gaze. Resonating with Jung's shadow work, this shadow clashes against her stoic-like poise, creating a profound internal shift where trauma's echoes demand healing. In relatable imagery, it's akin to a wanderer lost in fog, grasping at illusions until her light pierces through, revealing the path to self-integration. She does not chase the revelation. Instead, her presence, rich with emotional depth, mirrors his hidden wounds, provoking the question of worthiness without uttering a word. The fourth turning point emerges in this resonance, as he feels the pull toward individuation, the anima urging him to embrace what he flees. Desire deepens into longing, tension woven with threads of potential liberation, as the archetypal woman's awareness becomes the key that unlocks his chains. In the culmination of this inner odyssey, empowerment rises like a phoenix from the ashes of projection and pain, where detachment becomes the woman's greatest ally in the journey toward wholeness. Jung's individuation process unfolds not in isolation, but in the sacred space between souls, as she integrates her own shadows, her emotional self-worth a compass guiding her through the storms of attraction and attachment. The man, exposed in his vulnerabilities, controls, and fears, stands at the threshold of transformation, his stoic armor cracking under the weight of revealed truths. Trauma psychology offers contrast, showing how past echoes can resonate into resonance when met with awareness, turning wounds into wisdom. The final emotional turning point arrives in a whisper of release. As she steps back, not in defeat but in sovereignty, he confronts the anima within, the projections dissolving into self-ownership. You sense the shift, the mystery resolving into clarity, desire transmuting into mutual respect. Through symbolic tales of rivers merging with oceans, she embodies the feminine principle, her silence a provocation that ignites his inner fire. Empowerment blooms in this detachment, awareness flowering into individuation, where bonds form not from need but from choice. The archetypal woman, having mirrored his shadows, walks forward in her light, leaving behind the echoes of what was hidden. The woman who walks away in silence isn't weak, she simply sees more.